Welcome to I Just Have to Say Something, a conservative Hispanic perspective. Today we're going to be diving into a video of a Detroit woman who got totally railroaded by the Detroit Police Department for a simple, good act that you would want your neighbor to do for you. Lazy policing and this poor woman not fully understanding her rights and invoking her rights has led to her life being turned upside down. But before we dive into this, please hit that like, subscribe, and that notification bell, and share your thoughts in the comment section. Let's look into this.
They say no good deed goes unpunished. Tonight, one Detroit mother says no one knows that better than her.
She says sloppy work by Detroit police and a social media post like this one turned her life upside down.
Tonight, 7 investigator Ross Jones is revealing everything that went wrong.
We've given too much power to people to have this much control to just ruin your life and have no care.
What happened to Sandra Wilson cost her her job, her dignity, and for a time her freedom. On June 16th, she was visiting this gas station across the street from her apartment where she's a regular.
I go there all the time, before work, after work.
So often, in fact, she knows that from door to door it's
167 steps to and from.
She usually stops in to buy coffee, but on this night it was cigarettes. That's Sandra in the blue dress, and those two other women inside, they're important to this story too. The one leaving in the blue jeans just made a purchase and walks out just as Sandra is walking in. She's second in line, behind the woman at the counter in pink pants. Sandra waits, but as the woman in pink finishes up her business, the woman in jeans comes back in. Now watch carefully, because what you're about to see, Sandra can't. The woman in jeans talks to the cashier, then puts down her credit card. She doesn't make a purchase and walks out without realizing she left the card on the counter. Sandra walks up to buy her cigarettes, and while she's waiting, the woman in the pink pants walks out of the store. Only then does Sandra notice the card sitting on the counter, but she doesn't pick it up. Instead, she follows the woman who just left and says she asked her a question.
Did you leave your card?
And she said,
Yes. Got the card, walked over there to the far end of the pump, gave her her card, and I went home.
Sandra didn't know it, but she gave the card to the wrong woman, who police allege used it to buy hundreds of dollars in alcohol later that night.
No one ever accused Sandra of using the credit card. In fact, she only held on to it for about 15 seconds. So imagine her surprise when the following week she started to get calls from friends and family asking why she was wanted by police.
who called you first?
My sister, my oldest sister.
There she was, first on the 7th Precinct's Twitter account, then on the popular Crime in the D Instagram page. Both said she was wanted for illegally using someone else's credit card.
I was like, I just went to the store. I just really went to the store.
She knew she didn't steal a credit card, so Sandra, on her own, went to the city's 7th Precinct to try to clear her name.
Thank you for not making me wait.
This is a recording of Sandra's interrogation.
I do have to advise you that you are the focus of the investigation. Correct. At this time, okay? All right, nobody's trying to ruin your life.
It is already.
So I'm going to read you your rights, okay?
Now, this is important. Moments after Sandra is told she's a suspect, she tells the officer she wants a lawyer.
I need an attorney.
Okay, that's fine.
Because y'all about to hand me up on something I did not do.
And not just once.
Can I call my mom and have them get me a lawyer real quick? I need an attorney, because this is like, wow.
The officer has Sandra read her Miranda rights, initialing, then signing her name. The officer wrote at 10:54 a.m. The subject refused to make a statement and asked to speak to an attorney.
She did exactly the right thing. Always ask for an attorney. Do not speak to the police when you're under a criminal investigation without representation.
But the interrogation didn't stop. It continued for another 30 minutes, and not just with one officer. Now, there were two.
While I'm not an attorney, and I will give you my advice, if the police have read you your Miranda rights, you're under a criminal investigation. So at that point, ask for an attorney. These two officers have violated her civil rights by continuing their investigation and asking her questions after she's invoked her rights. The biggest mistake that the victim of this situation is that asking for the attorney is a great first step. The second thing you must do is shut your mouth. Don't say anything to these police. They will twist it into anything they need to get you arrested, because that's how they get promoted. It's not by successful convictions, because that's the court's job. Their job is to make arrest. Now, I want to add one thing too. When I call for police modernization and reform, this is exactly what I'm talking about. When you have two police officers that are violating the civil rights of an individual after they've called for counsel, and they continue their interrogation of a suspect, violating their rights, their qualified immunity should be gone. This is not an edge case. This is well-established case law. You violate someone's right, you lose your qualified immunity, and you are legally and financially responsible for the consequences of your actions. You want to change law enforcement? That's the way you change law enforcement in a positive way. You hold officers accountable when they knowingly violate someone's civil rights.
Miss Wilson, would you like to provide me with a voluntary statement today?
I don't know what y'all want me to tell y'all. I just walked in the gas station and y'all took a picture of me and ruined my life.
Do you want
you gotta relax.
I don't know what y'all want me to say.
Then, 15 minutes after Sandra first asked for a lawyer, officers think they finally caught her.
Who do you give that card to, Miss Wilson?
I gave the card to the man behind the counter.
We know that's a lie.
Who did I give it to? I said, here's the card. Is this your card? I don't know. I don't know them.
And this is exactly why you don't talk to the police. You plead the fifth politely and say you do not wish to speak to anyone without speaking to your attorney first. These officers, all they do is day in and day out is interrogate people to get them to trip up on common memory issues. They give you half-truths, so you may not even be thinking about the same event on the same day, but go ahead and give the wrong answer, and they're going to use anything you say to be used against you. So shut up, be polite, and say you're not answering any questions until you speak with your attorney. And if they want to stand there and question you all day long, don't say a word.
Because she says that she gives the card to the clerk, just guessing at what she would do in that situation, they take that as evidence that somehow she's in cahoots with the woman who used the card illegally.
Brandon McNeil is Sandra's attorney, who says officers could have cleared this all up if they'd just shown her the surveillance video instead of just still photos of herself.
This is Sandra's local gas station. This could have been from any day that she went to the gas station.
I can tell you're lying. We know for a fact you're lying.
No, you don't know for a fact nothing because I'm not lying. Well, let me see the video because I'm not lying.
By the time the officers were done, Sandra would be arrested and spent the next 3 days in lockup. She'd gone her entire life with no criminal history, but now faced 2 felonies and up to 4 years in prison. She says the charges cost her her job as a security guard.
I worked Monday and Tuesday. They called me on my off day, which Wednesday, and fired me in a car.
For 4 months, Sandra fought to clear her name. In October, the case went to a jury trial where, finally, her nightmare came to an end.
This is unbelievable to me. No trier of fact, even in the light most favorable to the prosecution, could ever think that Miss Wilson is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Before the case could go to the jury, Judge Paul Cusick threw it out.
Absurd and ridiculous and wrong. And this was not a thorough investigation.
While there's many that have commented in the past, oh, the whole system's corrupt, why even bother? And this is a perfect example of a great judge. We need hundreds of him all over the United States. Somebody who could look through the bull and say, you guys have done a pathetic job of investigating this crime, and why is this in front of me? And dismiss these cases that have no merit whatsoever. It's guys like him that give me faith in the system, that if we collectively work together, we can make a difference.
Sandra would be acquitted, but today, nearly 2 months later, she hardly feels like she won anything. She never got her job back. Her family and friends still wonder if she did something wrong, and still on social media today are those pictures labeling her a criminal.
Here's another aspect of what I call for police modernization that needs to be addressed, is the right to be forgotten. This person committed no crime. The case was dismissed by the court because it had no substance, but yet her digital presence of her committing a crime is still out there. There should be laws enabled, state and at the federal level, to clear good people's names when they've been wrongfully accused of a crime and have their digital footprint of these events completely expunged. It is not right for this woman not to be able to get a job because something's out there in error. And it's the error that's worse, is that the error was generated by the government. The government has a responsibility to rectify their errors in favor of the people. The people shouldn't have to petition the government to clear their own good names. You screwed it up, you clean it up.
And they embarrassed me, humiliated me. I have 49 applications and I can't get a job, okay? That's not fair.
Ironically, Detroit police have still not apprehended the woman who actually used that other woman's credit card. She still remains wanted tonight. And while this sad chapter in Sandra's life is over, our story is not. Did the officers who interrogated her violate Sandra's constitutional rights? Our investigation continues tonight on 7 Action News at 11.
Oh my goodness, you just feel so bad for her, and I hope anybody watching this story will offer that woman a job. I mean, that's just heartbreaking.
Well, and just because she was acquitted does not mean her life was not ruined. She lost her job. She was just evicted recently, we learned. She is trying to put her life back.
And she's still on social media, and you know how you can never get rid of that, so when people just see that at a glance, they just make a quick judgment.
Seems some people need to be held accountable.
You would think.
Yes, people do need to be held accountable. This woman's record should be expunged. Her digital presence of this crime should be expunged. The qualified immunity for these 2 police officers should be waived, and they should be completely financial and legally responsible for everything that's occurred to this woman. If you're in the Detroit area and you could help this woman in any way to get her a job, please reach out to her. Thanks for stopping by. I just have to say something, a conservative Hispanic perspective. Please like, subscribe, and share this video.